Another episode of With the Chiefs.
Wait. Man, I need more rest.
I hope I've got your last name right there.
It's a very good pronunciation.
You should know better than that now, Dom.
I know.
All right, welcome back to another episode of With the Chiefs. Today, we're very lucky to be joined by Keith Hong, or as his friends know him as Buzz. Keith's an absolute legend of the Sydney running scene. He's a member of the Delta Running Project. He's a marathon runner with personal bests of 2:51:37 and 80:40 and a half. Although Keith's primary focus is on the marathon, he also has vast experience in the trail running scene, competing 6-foot track 5 times and coast to Cozzy twice. Keith also plays a key role in organising operations for events which include Sitters Surf, Runaway Half, Sydney Marathon, Sunrun, 6-foot track and UTA. He's also the founder of Run Nation Film Festival, which also celebrates running. And in his spare time, Keith is also a dedicated coach, training a range of different runners. So today we're going to chat about a bit of everything. So welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Having me. Just want to put it on the record. I think it was only until the episode of Morgan that I realized I've been with the Chiefs. I kept thinking when you first started the episode, I kept thinking with the chefs. I was like, is it about food and running? I think for a while there was with the chefs.
Have you listened to Charlie Doherty's episode?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm on the wrong podcast.
So we are on the right podcast.
Yeah,
with the running Chiefs.
yeah.
We'll have to get some cooking tips off you though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'll get that from Chris Gatt.
Yeah. That's true. All right. Well, we always start off with a bit of a training update. So throw to you, Dom.
Oh, to me?
Start off with, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep it quick because I'm pretty keen to hear what Keith's got to say. But past week has been pretty good. Ran the commute, like half the commute on Monday. Drove to pretty much Smitty's place, and then ran along the Cooks River into work.
Yeah.
Which has been pretty good to do recently. It's like a nice run into work and still a good way to get in the Ks. But to do the full commute is just too much for me. It's like 17 Ks each way, which just I've done a couple of times, but it kind of wipes me out for the rest of the week.
I know sometimes you park somewhere and you run in.
Yeah, so that's like the best way to do it for me at the moment. And then Tuesday I did Turbo, and the session was I made this one up on the fly, but it was like a 2-minute hill, 90-second hill, a 1-minute hill, and a 30-second hill, and we did that 3 times with a jog back recovery.
Yeah.
It was good running on time to kind of keep everyone together because at Turbo there's like all different abilities.
Did you go to war with anyone?
No, I was going pretty good in that session. I had everyone in the bag, which is always nice.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Carpenter was there.
No, Aurel, I think he did a tempo before, so he was already a bit tired.
Good.
Yeah. And then I managed to keep Elijah at bay as well because he's always a challenger. But it's fun at Turbo. You never know who's going to show up. And
do you get some really good people out there?
Yeah, a couple pretty good runners. Aurel, there's a French guy. I think we've talked about him the last few episodes.
Yeah.
But he just works as a carpenter and rocks up to training, runs maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But he has beaten me most sessions really.
Right.
He's really good. And then Elijah did UTMB this year. I think he's got a 2:45 or something marathon. But he's looking really strong at the moment too. So those two are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Sometimes Dane Rook comes down. He's pretty good too. But yeah, all the squads kind of come along. Everyone's improving and getting better. But it's a good vibe down at Turbo. I'd recommend it to anyone to come down. Anyone's welcome.
Duly noted.
yeah.
6:30 on a Tuesday if you're interested.
There's also Gore Hill, something that happens there.
On the opposite side of the day.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you could do the double.
You could do double.
Yeah.
Double session.
Then I don't know, the rest of the week got a bit lazy and didn't run till Friday. And on Friday I went out to Riverview, and there's like a little trail track that I've been done in the past.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of trail reps on that, which is kind of a good benchmark because you can see and compare how you're going to the past.
Is it like a start from point A, do a time, and see how far you get, and that kind of time thing, or? No,
it's more just run out. It's like a certain distance, so you just run out to the end of the trail and then wait a minute and go back.
Yep.
And did that twice.
Okay.
But it's about 1,500 meters or so it's decent sort of rep, and good to kind of get some faster running in on the trails. I think that's pretty important if you're going to be doing trail running.
Have you taken me there before?
I don't think so, actually.
No, it's not the...
Yeah.
No, okay.
But then today, this morning, I got out and did another kind of staple session that me and Smitty have done a lot in the past. It's we call it the breakfast point session because we used to always do it at breakfast point. But you run 3 like 30-second, 40-second hills, and then you do 3 laps of an oval, so like a 1,200 meter effort.
Yep.
And we did that 3 times.
Right. So hill. Any rest between the hill to the 1,200?
No, you go straight into the 1,200 and then rest, like walk back down the hill.
Yeah.
That's like the set sort of done. But it's good to just practice running on heavy legs and get strong. I think with the Sun Run's going to be the next race, so just
Sun
trying
Run.
to
Someone helps organise that one.
Yeah. So practicing running on like heavy legs, I think is good kind of simulation for Sun Run. But that's been the week so far. Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Keith?
Yeah.
I'm going through a very intense period at work, so I'm very mindful how much more stress I put in. But the day is pretty structured. Mondays tend to be easy, 8 to 10, however I can fit in. Tuesday with the deltas, so by the time we usually finish the sessions, I tell probably about 20k by Monday or Tuesday, which is not a lot compared to when you're in the marathon block. Wednesday, I have an arrangement with Michelle McAdam, who a lot of people don't know. She's actually a very quality runner, 2:44, 22.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lots of good groups she has trained with as well. We know if we don't text each other the night before, we'll be at Margio's in Camaret. We'll be doing at least 15k, which in everybody's books, I think last few podcasts is not long enough to call a midweek long run. So
sorry, Nick.
Unless it's what, 75 minutes or is it 18? How long does it
it's either 18k or it's not 75 minutes because
I think going off minutes is probably better.
Yeah.
Do you go by time or do you go by distance? Well, I think time on feet is more accurate than distance, because sometimes you
don't know what the terrain is going to be.
You've done a lot of training.
Yeah.
So that's Wednesday, midweek long run, 15 at the moment. I know by marathon block, in an ideal world, that will go up to 24, 25 for Wednesday. Thursday at the moment, depending on what Georgia is training on, I tend to be out there to support, but I also do the session myself, Georgia Bar, which I think you're going to talk about in coaching in a minute. Friday tend to be an easy run. Saturday I've been sleeping in just to let the body recover, because by Friday night I will have easily chuck in quite a big week of work. I usually will hit about 50-hour week by Friday.
Wow.
So that's quite intense. Saturday sleep in, I'll run in the afternoon. So that's tonight after this. Sunday, I've been trying to keep as consistent, at least 2 hours. So that's about the kind of time. But marathon block, I've gone as long as 2 hours 50. So that tends to be a week. At the moment, 90 a week. I think anything less than that is just not enough to keep the engine sharp. And I'm mindful. I just want to get myself ready for one more week of work and then straight into Marathon Block.
When's the
Next
what's
event?
the date? Yeah, when's for that marathon?
Last Sunday of February,
wow.
2024. That's Osaka.
Oh wow.
Okay, that's gonna be
Which,
fun.
that'll be fun.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
with Amy O'Halloran, who's doing that as well. So
Yep.
Cool.
that's the next one.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Have you've done that one before?
No,
No.
I've done Tokyo. I've done Yokohama. So this is the fourth race in Japan I've done. I've done UTMF, Tokyo, Yokohama,
And and you've also done Boston.
and Boston.
Yep.
I've been to New York, but not as a participant, but as a part of the race directors program.
Oh, nice.
To give you context, they have this pretty amazing program, part of the New York Road Runners, targeting to groom people with great operational knowledge who just want to be part of it. So anyone involved in the design course of Other World, they invite you completely free. So you're there
Wow.
as a guest. They'll tell you how they do their behind the scene pre-race. You sit in front of they have the press vehicle, which the cameras pointing to the runners, and then you'll be 2 cars ahead seeing how they close the road. It's very American. The cops will drive up and put their hand up and close the roads, and runners will just run through, and then cars will just pass through. Very different from Australia.
Yeah.
So I've done that program before, but I haven't ran New York. I ran Vancouver as well. I ran one Singapore, which was stupid because it's stinking hot.
Really?
But my own home country marathon, only ran one. I ran Gold Coast, I ran Melbourne, ran Sydney. 13. Next year will be 14th Gold Coast.
14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. How many marathons have you done
I
altogether?
don't know. I didn't really count. 60 something.
60 something.
Wow.
Probably, but yeah.
Shit.
Sorry, we digress.
No. All good. All good.
And UTMF, did you do the miler or?
Marla, yeah.
Yeah, jeez,
that
that's
was
nuts.
fun. That was the very first year one.
Yeah.
So
jeez.
that was when go up to the old Tenjin Mountains. I still remember that race quite well. Right up until about 101k, it was climbing this big climb, probably about a good 30 minutes climb, and then I started hearing this boom. This is really. I was like, this is 2 a.m. in the morning. This is spooky. And you get closer to the top, the bell gets louder and louder. And apparently, as you get to the top part of the tradition, you see this, and then the runners just ring the bell.
Oh, the runners really.
Yeah. And I was like, that means you got to the top. Okay, that's really cool.
Sick. Yeah.
So for me, I talk about it now, I still get goosebumps, but it's such a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And for those who haven't raced in Japan, the Japanese organizers races like no other.
Yeah.
UTMF, they knew there were a lot of internationals. They have food labeled in different languages. Oh, no English? There. And it was so good. They'll look at Japanese. They'll keep thinking I'm Japanese. And I say, I'm not. Watashi wa Nihongo anashimasu. I say, I'm not Japanese. I speak English. And I remember I had a t-shirt that says, no Japanese, English, please. just so they know to direct me to the... So that was So Japan for me has always been a very beautiful place to go and race. I love the food. I love the people. And it's still the only marathon that I have seafood as carb load before. They always say don't eat seafood before a marathon because seafood
It's a bit
could
funny.
upset the stomach.
Yeah.
But Japanese, the sushi is great. I remember Tokyo Marathon, we were having sushi and sashimi and going nuts with it. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
that was
No.
that was
No,
Japan.
Good.
Yeah, I think
so that's
Japan running, it seems like they do it right over there. Like
They do it right. There's a
yeah.
big culture. It's one of the few places that I know. Every second Sunday, there's a channel, 4 hours program. They just broadcast about marathon, talk
Really?
about the Aikidans, talk about which company just recruited which new employee to run their race next year, and they talk about race shoe review. And to them, it's a national sport. You get beaten by people who run to 250 wearing a Mickey Mouse suit. You get all sorts of different amazing people. You see, they are one of the few countries that can run a lot of sub 210. The national runners it's such a big group, but not many of them have run sub 205, 204. So it's very different. You just see that they have the rich, 208s and 210s, and of course Yuki is one of them, which we all follow a lot. So it's a beautiful culture. I'm planning to see if I can get to one of their training camps just to really see how they do their stuff there. So to hopefully learn a thing or two.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Do they train very differently or?
No, I think I know they do a lot of hybrid session. So they do a lot of, which is something that I'm something I've been working with someone that I coach in Singapore, Melvin. Melvin is a 237 guy. He's running this tomorrow, Valencia.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
So hopefully he can run a high or mid 236. So we'll see. We've been doing a lot of hybrid sessions. He runs his workout on Mondays. We do 8x800s, and then with 3 minutes rest, then 5K of race tempo, marathon tempo, and he thrives in those sessions.
Yeah,
The
right.
Japanese seems to do a lot of that double hybrid session, not just a pure 10 by 1K workout.
Yeah.
They like to tag on more.
Yeah.
But their
So
quality
different
sessions.
intensities.
Different intensities, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because, a lot of the sessions that I think most people do is just sort of in the one zone. 1K
Yeah.
reps is a good example. But yeah, it could be interesting to kind of play around with your sessions a bit more.
Yeah, I think soon was it Jakob's double workout,
threshold.
double
Oh, yeah.
threshold, morning and afternoon. I think I don't know whether it works for everybody. I don't know many people who does that.
I remember doing.
Yeah.
You do any Tuesday session at Gore Hill, and you think, how the hell could I do another session?
Yeah,
If you do, I've done a few doubles after that, and I think about the double threshold, and be like, there's no way you'd be getting a session
unless
done.
if you don't work, you have a big nap, you go back.
Yeah,
and have
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, it works for some people, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, in the past I've done it but I could only do it once a week or once a fortnight because it just takes a lot out of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
You probably have to tone it back a little bit on the first one,
Yeah.
I imagine. The first, the one in the morning.
I wonder how long you will need to warm up again for the second session.
Yeah.
How much mobility work you need to do, then warm up, and then to go again. It's a long time. A 1 hour session, you need about 2 hours to do it properly.
Yeah. And it's probably a bit risky.
A couple of years ago, when Ryan Hall and Sarah Hall came to Australia, Sarah at that time just turned pro. I knew them via Benita, so they came to Sydney. I hosted them for 2 days. I was like, oh, I get to run with Ryan and Sarah Hall. I was like, so chuffed. So they came to my place in Kiribati, had some breakfast, and it was
You hosted them.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
And Sarah and Ryan started going, oh, we're going to warm up. I was like, I got changed. I was ready to go. And they said, oh, we're not ready yet. So she took out scraping tool, gua sha. Some people have jade, some people it's metal. About 20 minutes, she just scrapes her limbs to get her blood vessels all red and ready.
Oh.
And then we went down to Bradfield Park, and then they did another 45 minutes of mobility work just to free up.
Oh, wow.
And then we went out for a 90 minutes run, and then they came back, cool down again. So it's 3 hours for a 90 minutes run.
Yeah, jeez.
That's the difference.
His rationale is that's their job.
Yeah.
Everything is about the intentions, the mobility work, the gua sha, and that's what they do day in, day out.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting to see their headspace. And yet for all of us, let's go for a run, just rock up, and we just go. And
Yeah. Put the shoes on, out
I
the
put
door.
shoes out the
that's
door,
it.
and to
Yeah.
them it's a ritual. It's so important, I know gua sha and mobility and all those scraping is. Some athletes does it. I don't know a lot of us do it here. So
I've never heard of it, no.
Yeah, if you look up, so it's like a piece of blade, or you just scrape to get the blood vessels. Really, is the intention is just get more blood flow into limbs.
Right.
So a lot of runners does it. A lot of American runners does it. And I can't remember the New Balance steeplechase girl. They do a lot of scraping. So if you look up scraping runners, mobility, top athletes, they do a lot of that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Is there any science behind it, or is it still sort of?
It's essentially just to increase the blood circulation to the
Yeah.
limbs, but
Yeah, right.
it has to be done in conjunction with everything else that you're doing.
Yeah.
Especially mobility work, pre-workouts, and then your warm-ups, and then your actual runs.
Yeah.
So it's Sarah's Hall. Sarah has been doing that. If you look up
yeah.
Sarah Hall scraping, she's a big advocate of it, and a lot of American athlete does that.
I think it'd be good even if it's just a placebo or whatever, but to do something that sort of gets you in the zone, and says like, okay, like I'm going for a run now. Just mentally preparing yourself would probably be beneficial. So.
Yeah, Pat Farmer years ago, there's a few of his interview. He said part of his, remember he ran from North Pole to South Pole?
Yeah.
And he said, no, casually, I'm running from North to South. But he said during a normal day, recovery, he's Pat Farmer. But when the ritual of tying the shoe going, I'm in a different headspace. And that for him is like, you're no longer Dom and you're no longer Luke, you are the runner. It's like, David Goggins, when he goes into the Goggins mode, I'm no longer David, I'm Goggins.
Yeah.
I'm Goggins. So it's almost that identity that they assume, which I often find when you meet a lot of these top athletes that I've been fortunate to meet. They go into different mode. They don't really like to talk in training. They're just there to be antisocial. But after training, you're like, oh, you're a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. Yeah, I think that everyone can probably take a bit from that though, and I think preparing for sessions is something that I used to do in the past, especially training for middle distance, but slowly sort of just merged into, I don't know, put your shoes on and get out there and don't worry about the warm-up or anything.
Yeah, I wonder if it makes any difference if you actually actively come to a training sessions, you warm up, you are social, but when you're training, game face, really game face.
Yeah.
How that would really elevate everyone around you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that's what we get at Delta.
Yeah, we do. Until someone cracks a joke. Or I'm just giggling or go out too hard. But yeah, it's definitely just doing those little things sometimes. Like, for example, at the moment I'm trying to at least think about the sessions a lot more, write them down, reflect on it a little bit. Even those little things get you in the zone a little bit more. Then I find myself just getting into the habit of just like putting the shoes on, go out the door, don't really think about the training too much. So yeah, there is something to it, but you can also get too intense sometimes.
What other rituals have you got?
I'd say I don't know. I don't really have anything, but it's really the extent of it at the moment is literally just I keep an Excel spreadsheet of what I've been doing in training, so I can like look back and review, and I keep track now of like the heart rate, even on the easy runs, to just see how it's tracking over time. It was even a cool exercise to go back to look at the training which led up to City to Surf, and just analyze it a little bit.
That was a good run, by the way.
Yeah, it was a good run. That's my favorite run, I would say. And then like even just thinking about Gold Coast moving forward, I think I'm in that headspace of being super pumped up again, which is good. So yeah, just try and be a bit more intentional about it. But yeah, I think what you're talking to is a different level where it's like you have to put in like doing mobility, for example, is an extra 45
minutes. And
when you got full time, you have to like balance that. But yeah, anyway, it's just interesting to see. Obviously there's a key difference between people that it's their job.
Yeah, the job and the dedication, and it's really that 1% that we all keep talking about all the time, and we are chasing that 1% of the shoot. But for them, that 1% is the extra hour of sleep. I heard Brad Robertson talking about 6:15 is what time I start running. I can't go any earlier than that because I need the X amount of sleep. But you look at all of us, how often do we actually say, I slept 5 hours, but bugger it, I'll show up. But we don't respect that critical rest period to the body.
Yeah, especially hangovers. That's kind of good.
Do you have any little habits or little ritual pre-run, Tom?
Oh, like we used to warm up in another pair of shoes, which I thought was really good. And then when you put your flats on or whatever the shoe is you're doing your session in, I felt like you would sort of click into gear, say like, okay, like I'm running fast because I'm wearing my fast shoes. Which was good. And doing strides before a session was always good to sort of just prime yourself mentally more than anything, like just to get ready for a big session.
I think like when the carbon plated shoes came out, it was
Yeah.
cool to switch into those, like you're saying, Dom,
Yeah.
for sessions. It gave you a different, like you said, I'm going to run fast
Do
now.
me well.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever I put them on,
You are $320.
yeah. Whenever I put them on, I hope that just gives me that juice to like catch Tobias or something, and Dom one day.
When I first started doing squat training with Sean William, which I think all of us would know well, if any of the listeners, Sean William used to be based in Sydney. He's now based in Melbourne. Run Fast Melbourne?
Yeah.
I think so. He used to be called Sweat.
Yeah.
Sean has a very regimented, in a good way, pre-sessions. Everyone had the same, it's always the same. You do a stride, you do a jump, you do a little clap, jump higher and higher. That's always that 20 minutes of that methodical pre-workout, and said, all right, and when we're ready to start, and say, all right, game face, eyeballs out. It's always
Eyeballs out. I like that one.
It's always eyeballs out, and that gets everybody into their sessions. Same thing. You look at the Ethiopians; they have that little dance.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Little cake and egg cake, and so I feel that's something that if any of the squads, we all have the time, something to really consider as a squad. And you look at Run Crew, they all are really strict with their warm-ups. I sometimes I rock up to Tuesday, you are there on Tuesday, you see they have methodical 4, 5, 6K of warm-up, they do the drills, then they arrive at 6 o'clock for 6:50 sessions. You know, Peter Goods, who runs the other squad, Athletic East, they have a very same thing. You have to do that amount of strides. You have to go that, and then he'll say, right, go your racing flats. Oh, not enough sessions, don't wear spikes. So they are really strict with all that really very minute 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm completely derailed.
No. It's good.
It's good. I think it's
It's
definitely
good.
worth touching on.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Do you want to hear about my training?
yeah, Smitty, tell us,
please
please.
do.
Dom's like, I hope he doesn't notice. Let's just get on with it. Okay.
Your week, yeah, your spreadsheet.
Yeah, I got my spreadsheet open. So we record on Sunday. Okay, so picking up from Monday was easy 12K. Then we did Gore Hill session. We did groundskeeper set,
Yes.
which is the first time I've actually done that.
Alright.
I think because I haven't. Have they done groundskeeper
I think
like
so.
in the last like year or so?
No, probably Moose Fart Lake many times, as you know.
Yep.
Groundskeeper this is probably the second time only or third time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the first time you've done it at Ford.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. First time I've done it. So it was 4 minutes, 2 minutes,
minutes,
1
1
minute
minute.
with 60 seconds
Yeah.
rest. And the 60s, like it's just a continuous with 60
There's
seconds.
a big sessions. If
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
all three, it's a good solid 30 minutes.
I did 3 and there was a suggestion to do 4.
The 4.
And I was like, no chance.
Is it like a jog recovery or?
Jog.
Jog,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did anyone take a float? No, it was instruction is jog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think really big difference.
There's no way you can float.
float, no.
Otherwise, it's just a big tempo at
And
that
don't
point.
you might want to add the pace that Jerome wanted us to do. 10,
Oh, yeah.
10K, 5K, and 3K pace. Straight into
Straight
it's
into
hot.
5K,
It's
yeah.
straight to 10K,
Yeah.
5K pace on your 2 minutes, and you just go, oh. So that was a
I think the
big
rule of
session.
thumb with those paces is always just going to be just bump it up to, if it's half, it's actually 10K.
10K, yeah.
Like, because everyone gets carried away.
yeah.
But it was good. I started off pretty reasonable and then worked into the second one. But definitely that second rep, went a little bit too quick, and with only 60 seconds rest, you got to sort of respect it. And then, I mean, I kept the pace consistent, but towards the end, like, it was not a threshold. Like, probably I was running pretty hard by the end of it. There's no way I could have done 4. But I really like that session.
Yeah.
I'm starting to, every week just feeling a little bit stronger in that threshold zone. So it was good, really enjoyed it. Then the next day did an MLR. 17.2 kilometers.
Yep.
Which I'll
That point two.
yeah, round up. The pace has been, I don't know, like 440. The easy pace, I've kind of not focusing on getting it within a certain range, just kind of taking it somewhat easy. I don't know how much extra benefit there is, like for example trying to keep it under 430 or working down towards 420. So I think I'm just keeping it pretty casual at the moment. I know when I start to get into the marathon block, I think those MLRs are going to get a bit more intentional, so just working quicker towards the end.
Just so I get it right, so do you
Yep.
think for you, your midweek long run and your marathon block long run, you're a bit more conscious of the pace you run in your marathon block long run?
Yeah, correct. So I think when I trained for a previous marathon, those MLRs were very similar to what Nick was saying, because I've also followed that book, Advanced Marathoning.
Yep, which we all do.
Which we all
the one
do.
with Lisa on the
Yeah.
left, and then the Molly in the middle. Yeah. That's everybody's Bible.
Yeah, it really is.
It's gone around the whole City Bank.
Yeah, has anyone actually paid for that?
Is everybody's thumbprint or sweat or?
Anyway, I cut that.
Who has your book now?
Yeah. I think Arthur's got it.
Arthur's got it. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Arthur, this is a call for you to return
Yeah,
back.
that's all good. Actually, yeah. So I remember in that training block they were tough, but I don't think back then I took Tuesdays as hard, because Tuesdays are like consistently tough, but working towards like trying to get down somewhat near marathon pace in those felt like, I don't know, it just felt like it built strength and bit of mental resilience, because even by the end of MLRs after Tuesday session, I'm pretty tired by like 12K.
Do you find you're able to maintain closer to marathon pace for Wednesday, so close after Tuesday? Usually it's just over 24 hours.
Yeah. I wouldn't get too close to marathon
Okay.
pace. Like probably
10,
like
10-15 seconds.
Yeah, even a bit more. Like it's more just moving it away from a bit of easy pace towards the end. So it's probably, to be honest, it'll probably be pretty similar. The real change will just be pushing it out further, like 20K, 22K, that sort of thing. And then do you do MLR on Wednesday?
Wednesdays as well.
Are you generally pretty tired?
I am.
After the session?
I think I'm very mindful. Tuesday is where I know my diet tends to change a little bit.
Yeah.
I just tend to pick up a little bit more calories. I start snacking a lot more Tuesdays afternoons. And Wednesdays I know slightly longer, just more planning it. But for me, like most, I tend not to have too much food before the midweek long run, because we don't hit that 90 minutes glycogen depletion point anyway. So.
Yeah, actually I never eat anything before them.
Yeah.
So even on those longer ones that I used to do, I feel like that benefited me in some way, because I really have to just use fuel efficiently. But on like, say you do a 24K, it starts to get pretty grim if you haven't had any food and you don't have any gels. But I don't know how much I'm looking forward to like I've been G'd up for Gold Coast, but that's in theory.
Have you signed up?
I've signed up. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. Then Thursday I did easy 10K. Then Friday I did another easy 12K, because I did park run today, so I didn't do a session. I've been doing sessions
Tuesday, Friday.
Yeah. I find Thursday I'm just pretty cooked to do it. I don't know. It's just I used to do them, but I didn't. If I did a session on Thursday, I would only do like short, easy on Wednesday. So anyway, I know a lot of people do sessions on Thursday. Then Rhodes Park Run. I won't talk too much about it, but it was much better than I thought I would do. I ran 16:19. Some would say it's humid as well, so
Take it. We'll take it.
I'll take it. I thought I'd run about 16:30ish. So I just went out and decided to just try and run it as fast as I could. For me, that's a really good thing, that it's like just marking that it's trending in the right direction. I think it's been about, can I mention the hamstring?
Is there a thing about we can't mention the H?
No, it's because I've been banging on about the hamstring too much. It's been probably about 4 weeks building back into it. So yeah, it's nice to know the fitness is coming together. It's always bloody tough, 5K.
Yeah.
It's just...
Do you use that as a means to see where you are, the park run? Is that always been your determining factor? All right, I think I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think roads, because I've done roads park runs so many times, I know if I run a certain time, generally I know where my fitness is. For 16:19 there is pretty good for me. I haven't run too much quick. I ran that 15:48, but that was by far the best that I've run.
Yeah.
So normally sits around 16:15. 16:06 was like the fastest. And that was in the City of Surf training block. So
bigger mileage, winter season, cooler weather.
Yeah. I was definitely fit. Like I did a lot more training when I ran 16:06. So obviously there's a big difference between that and 16:19. But yeah, it's a really good step forward. So then we'll do long run tomorrow. And yeah, happy with where training's at. G'd up for Gold Coast. Dom signed up.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean,
Looks
The
like we're gonna
marathon.
have a big party there.
Yeah, it should be good fun. I've seen like the last few years, it just looks like such an awesome event.
Yeah.
So pretty keen for it.
There's always a huge Delta turnout.
On average, last 2 years, they've been helping to get the people out together. We get on average 50
50
runners and supporters, and it's such a good vibe.
Yeah.
I think everyone loved the double, the half on Saturday.
Yeah.
Slight drizzle, but still cool. Everyone, the marathons will be out there sucking in the vibe, going, and you'll be standing at the 19K where it's a slight surge up, and you'll be going 1K, 2K to go, and 2K to go. And it's such a good energy. Everyone catch up for lunch, and then dinner tends to be everybody on their own thing. Then Sunday, I think a lot of the major marathons, if everyone don't realize it, the standard is really growing. With Sydney, of course, imminently becoming a world major. Every marathon around in Australia, they know they have to step up. I mean, Melbourne sold out in just over 3 days.
Has this this has never happened? Like this has never happened before.
I think it's
has
a
it?
trend. I think the COVID helped. All the development of the new shoes. Runners have the perception where I'm an okay runner, but with the right support gears, I can be an okay runner. I think that little progression, everyone's going, all right, let me give it a go.
Yeah.
I think Sydney also had to play a big part. Sydney Marathon, how they really promoted, really connected with the grassroots, and that gave that boost. I think Gold Coast was few days late. They got gazumped by Melbourne. Melbourne had the first blood. Strike the first blood, and Gold Coast, I think they were still trending some good numbers yesterday. So yeah, I think we are now coming to a nice little running boom again.
Yeah,
March
it's
to our
good.
delight.
People getting into it. I mean, when I've signed up for Melbourne and I've never had issues signing up, and then
like
all of
2
a sudden
weeks out, you can still sign up.
Yeah. Even last year I left it. I remember Matt Gore being like, "Mate, sign up now." I'm like, "No, it's all good." And then anyway, but yeah, it's good. It's good. A lot of people are getting into it.
Yeah. I think Gold Coast will be good though. It's like, seems like in the middle of the winter, probably the biggest sort of race around.
And I think everybody, if you us a bit more who are a little bit more enthusiastic about the sport, always would see, we have a traditional 5K Sydney 10, and then you might tinkle around with the runaway, and the hardcore ones will go to Lonnie for the Lonnie 10. Who fly in, fly out, and then you can really get some good period through towards the May-June period, which is why Gold Coast has always been such a good spot. But I think people are slowly to think about Sunshine Coast as well as an alternative. If there's a niggle, I can't get ready for Gold Coast, but it's all right. Sunshine Coast is about 3 weeks after that.
Okay.
So that's another good event to think about. Atlas events, good people. good events as well.
Plenty going on. All right. Well, as always, we take a long time with the training with the training update. Let's get into it. So maybe just give us a bit of background on how you actually got started in running. How did that come about?
I moved from Singapore to Australia in 2001 to further my education. And the first social group that I joined, as I said to a few people before, I joined the dark side. It was a running club in North Shore called NRG, Northside Running Group.
Yep.
But their marquee event within the squad is 6-foot track. So straight up, as they all said, I've joined the wrong crowd by having an ultra as a it's not a half marathon, it's not a marathon, but the whole club was founded on 6-foot track. So that was the community I was first welcomed into, straight into a ultra marathon mentality. So that was 2001. Took me a while to really get into it, and that became my friends, my second home, my second family. But back home in Singapore, I've always been quite active. We had the national compulsory conscription, which I did mine 2.5 years of military service. The cohort I was assigned to required a lot of running, and running from A to B in a very quiet, as swiftly and as camouflage as I can, do what I need to do and get back. So that was a headspace, but not in a competitive sense. But Australia was where I think that really shaped me as the community is the running. The running is the community, which has been the philosophy I've adapted since.
So where did you how did you then progress from that community? So obviously you started trail running. How long did you go through that period for?
I did 6-foot track competitively. Well, not competitively. I did 6-foot track quite training, really embraced it. I think right through till I remember really well. I think 2015 was the last time. I remember in Japan, about 150k before I hit the 100-mile mark. There's a race in Japan called Sakura Michi, which is a beautiful race. For those who are ultra runners, it's a race that goes from east to the west of Japan. It's through April, beautiful cherry blossom tree. You run, it's 250k road. The longest distance between each checkpoint is 9 kilometers. So to give you perspective, every checkpoint, every turn had volunteers.
Wow.
There were over 600 volunteers for a 250 kilometers race. And it's just one of the most life-changing. For the record, I didn't complete it. I got timed out at 192. It was the week after Canberra Marathon, which I was the course director. It was just week of fatigue. And when you finish managing a race and you leave for Singapore, leave Sydney for Japan on a Thursday, you get there on a Friday, race on a Saturday, you just depleted.
Yeah.
But that was a race I knew. That was a race I knew ultra running is actually not for me. I wasn't running for the right reason. I was running because that's what everyone was doing. Yeah.
But you did it for a while though.
I did it for a while.
For ages, yeah.
By then, I already had 2 coast to coast start, which had 1 finish. The one that I got DNF was at 230, which was and another interesting experience. But then this next year, I came back and finished it.
Jeez, how was that?
230.
Yeah, at 230.
What's the
240?
240. So
Yeah,
240.
that's tough.
The 230k is right at the top. You know where the top bathroom is? At the top before the Strzelecki Monument.
Yeah.
That was the first year rookie. I assembled a group of crew, rookie era. It was all female who have never worked together before. It was two different friends. One's a police inspector. One's a long distance adventure junkie. One's my wife, who all didn't get along well with each other.
No.
And then all I wanted to do is just get away from my crew because they were bickering with each other and just hated each other. So by the time we hit Perisher, with still quite a bit to go, I just didn't eat. by the time I get to the top of 230k, I haven't ate for about 4 hours, just liquid food. There was a snow and ice drift, and the race starter said, you can't even walk on your own. I'm not gonna allow you to continue. So, he tapped me out. I could have crawled because I was still 6 hours away. If I had crawled 6 hours to do 10k, I would have still finished it. But,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But it was the best thing that ever happened to me, that DNF.
Really?
It allowed me to go, why do I want to come back? What would I do differently? And I really got some amazing people behind me to help me with the next year, which I came back and finished, which I had a completely different experience. Beautiful race. It's a very coming of age for a lot of ultra runners. I think, Dom, you'll love it.
Yeah, it's
in fact, as we speak now, people are just finishing it.
Yeah,
there's some.
We had Dylan Wynn on a couple of episodes ago, and he came fourth, which is crazy. Yeah,
Mark Avery came in second. There's some amazing times, but yeah. So Coast to Cozy, UTMF, Great North Walk, a couple of UTA or North Face then. But I find ultra running, just the pure sleep deprivation part really go against. It's really depleting. It's really hard for me. My body just can't adapt the not sleeping part.
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of puts me off doing like the really, really long stuff as well. Like I think 100k is kind of good, or like 12 hours is good, but being able to go to bed at night is
it's a luxury.
Also good. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for people who do things like marathon desabs where you're sleeping rough. All you get is a tent. Really, you got to cook and bring your own food, carry your own water.
Yeah,
it's a very different appreciation of I know people have done Ultraman as well.
Oh yeah.
Which for people who don't know is 3 Ironmans. And you just go 3 Ironman. Why?
Yeah. We had James Scanlon on the show. I crewed the part of the run.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Yeah.
Insane to be, even to just see, I don't know. It was just a lot. But even just hearing just witnessing him, there's something mental that's different. Like he just was so focused. And even at the end of those coming in from the bike, I don't know, he was just built different. He was just chatting like, I ran into some issues, but and he was just still chirpy. And I was like, what the? It's almost like it just takes that different mentality. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting.
A lot of the great, long distance runner that I've known, I can't say I know you very well, but at least I know they're all very solution centric. I was like, what can I do differently now? I'll change this. They're always thinking ahead about, all right, the liquid food's not doing well. What can I stop and change? And they're always troubleshooting rather than sitting deep in their own thoughts going, oh, this is really going bad. This is really going bad. I think that's what makes, same thing, Morgan, whom we spoke about. He's very solution centric. All right, let's change. Let's try that. And they're we got to be a little bit stubborn.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, James, funny enough, is a software engineer, so you heard the way he was talking about all his gear and everything after. Everything was had such a purpose. It's just very, I don't know, for me, I'm just wondering if eventually I'll be into something like that. But at the moment, even preparing for the marathon, I'm like, there's a lot to think about here. But it's cool to witness at least.
It is.
And there's obviously, I don't know, just the pure challenge of it seems crazy.
It's a different preparations. I think the ultra running community or the distance running community has a very different vibe to the traditional. Would you say that, Tom, for you?
Yeah, I think it's different sort of mentality. Like everyone's really competing against the distance and just trying to survive. Whereas in a road race or a marathon, you're going for time and trying to push yourself as fast as you can go.
Yeah.
So it's two sort of different approaches, but yeah.
Well, so what happened in the second one which you completed? How did it go so differently? The coast to coast?
I think training aside, I just went in really hungry.
Yeah.
I just went in going, a bit of a redemption, a bit of a going. It's not a you're not really there to try and participate. I wasn't competitive. I did it in just over 40 hours. But I just really wanted to be out there to be among everybody, and to show that when they accept you, you want to respect that they have taken you on board, because you know that race is not just an entry. It's by you apply, but it doesn't mean you will definitely get it. So you have to put in a good, strong enough resume, very similar to Badwater as how Chris Chapman accepts all the invites. So you want to respect that privilege. When you're given the opportunity, you want to take it with both hands and go, which is why their DNF rate is always relatively so low, because they really vet. I was like, all right, Luke, he wants to put in applications. Oh, he's done a few 100-milers. He's appreciated. He have crewed. He have dedicated time. You really respect the whole experience, which is why it makes that race. It's not, you can't buy your way into it. You have to earn the Akubra hat. I can't speak more highly of Costa Cozy. I've crewed it, raced it, supported the event. The two news race directors are just amazing, took it to a whole new level. But that race has heart, has love. The race ceremony is always full of tears. The Kubra hat you wear with so much pride, and the pins, number of finishes that you have with the feather. It's a beautiful, beautiful race. It's not easy. 240k is tough. 240k from the sea to the top of Australia is tough. And then there's all the other elements: alpine weather, summer weather, all in one race. Yeah, that's
What was it like finishing the race?
very satisfying. Very satisfying. It's a very different. It's you don't think about what's next. It's a go, wow, but you think about how is everyone else is doing. Because there are people who are still 6 hours away from finishing, 5 hours away from finishing. Your headspace approach is so different. Way down from the mountain, you look at them, you stop, you high five them, you go and give them a hug. Keep going. Because when you go to bed, you wake up, they'll still be out there running.
Yeah.
Far out. And 40 hours, did you sleep at all, or were you just awake?
I remember I had 20 minutes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah.
But yeah.
Is that the longest run you've ever done? Or?
Yeah, it's the longest.
Yeah, far out.
What's it like when you start battling sleep deprivation? Like how is it for you?
For me, I remember that time. I actually struggle. I really struggle. I went to little tips and tricks of trying to trick your body by having really strong, bright head torch. So to tell your body it's not dark, it's daylight. That kind of worked for a little while. Trying to manage your calories to not have too much high GI, just keep low GI food, just to not get that high and big low blood sugar.
Yep.
I know a lot of runners are testing other tools measuring their glucose levels as they run. But for me, during that time, it was just keep moving. Don't slop too much, especially during that 2 to 5 a.m. time. But those are actually some of the best time to run. Up in Beloka Range with no cars, no lights, just as you and the stars on the road and white line and the crew car 4-5k ahead. It's pretty cool.
It sounds.
It's a different kind of marathon experience. Very different kind of marathon experience.
Yeah.
6
right.
marathons back to back. But now I appreciate marathon distance in a different way. It's a lot more structured. You have to be even more disciplined. It's not about just doing long mileage. Nutrition, I find marathon distance is very much about you need to be really structured. You need to be disciplined. You need to have a plan. I know the same can be applied for ultra running, but I think you know what I'm trying to say in terms of you need to be really structured.
I think ultra marathoning, there's a lot more variables at play, and you don't really know how you're going to feel, so you have to problem solve and have 3 different solutions to how you're going to feel at a certain point in time. Whereas marathoning, it's like just get the fuel in, this is what you need, regardless of how you're feeling, it's what you need. But
Are you excited looking for Gold Coast?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I am. I haven't I haven't. I did Melbourne 2022. So I haven't trained for a marathon for a while. I think I've been in this like middle zone of like training decently, but not like getting the most out of it. Because I think I ran my PB in the half 2022 as well in Gold Coast. So although I've still maintained fitness, like I haven't really, and Melbourne I really butchered. Like I didn't run it too well. Like I know I could have run the race better. So looking forward to Gold Coast. I definitely want to try and get into good shape.
Yeah.
Try and put in a good, like just a decent block. Like I remember, the block I did with Sally was really good. Like I definitely went to another level in terms of fitness, and that
Sally
Sally Coggins. Yeah. I went through a really, because everything was so structured, and Sally's very precise with very precise. And I hadn't really done that before, and I had the accountability, and I went from, I think it was like 75 ish in the half marathon to 72.53, which was a good improvement. And then I took that confidence into the marathon, but I raced it. I just went out too quick trying to attack 2:30, and it didn't. I wasn't quite there, and I knew I wasn't quite there. But I think you just get ahead of yourself. You've had similar experience at Berlin.
Exactly
Dom still trying to find your 2:30. The 2x.
It's just been haunting me for ages now. But I think that similar to Smitty, just got too caught up in 2:30 when there's plenty of other good times that are not 2:30.
You kind of know, right? Like where you're.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you're at, and you're like, but what if I could just, but
is 2:30 like your sub 3 for a lot of the runners? Do you find for you?
Probably, yeah.
Because you've given it a few goals, haven't you?
Yeah, I ran like 2:32 twice, and then around 2:38 in Berlin. So.
Which is not reflective of your running ability.
I think there's definitely been periods where I've probably been sub 2:30 shape, but haven't been able to race at that time. Like I reckon Bondi to Manly I was probably in better shape than Berlin. But that's all right, I'm sure it'll come eventually. But how do you feel about like those big sort of times and trying to sort of target something? Have you had
I don't know whether both of you have put the upper limiting factor, which you all have that term. I know my own perceived upper limiting factor is 240, and 240 has always been one of those. I have a book from Dick Telford that I got him to sign his book, Looking Through the Glass. I might have butchered the title a little bit, but it's about his do you know that book? For those who haven't heard, who don't know Dick Telford or Richard Telford is or Dr. Telford, if you want to probably call him. He's the father of all distance running, as we were said. He wrote this book, Keith, good luck to your 240. It's a lifetime goal. Go for it. Wow. I find that is a little goal. It will be my upper limit, because I know I don't have the same base fitness as I would have versus for example, my base aerobic pace and yours are very vastly different. It will take a lot more work for me to get to your cruising pace versus my tempo pace. Yeah. So I know with the amount of time I need to commit to get to a 240 or sub 240, that is the absolute upper limit. I'm never going to say, I'm going to aim for a 225, because I know pure physics at where I am at my age, 47 years old, there is only that much I can do. So that is 240 is always, I know that it will be not a lifetime goal, but I know it's my upper limit.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny these times have such a like we've talked about in the past, like how arbitrary the time is, but it's not at the same time. It's like it means so much.
It's huge.
Yeah. But it does anchor you in your training and stuff like that. And I think like, for example, having the fact that I've done marathon 2 years ago and it didn't go to plan, I definitely feel motivated for Gold Coast. But again, I said this last year and I didn't end up doing a marathon, but I did get injured. But yeah, I think it's those setbacks that definitely help propel you forward.
Is there a time for Goldie that you? Is that the
Something
2x?
I mean, sure.
That for the record now
Yeah,
on this
no.
day, 2nd of December 23.
I think I just want to do a good block to the best of my ability.
To do yourself justice.
Yeah, and see if I can race it properly. So however I show up on the day, firstly I want to make it to the race.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. But I also just, I don't know, maybe I'll be in that sort of shape. But it's just even 230. Like maybe I've been in 232, 233 shape.
Yeah.
It's just even a big difference between that and 230. And I think it was Matt Gore that was also saying, like, to run sub 230, you've got to be almost like quite a lot fitter than that if you want to get it done. Like, it's very hard to be at that and just get under it. Like, but yeah, I just want to really.
So is it saying that you have to be about 228-ish runner to bet close to a sub 230 kind of?
Yeah,
I reckon.
Yeah, because like everything has to go perfectly.
Yeah.
If you're just there, like.
It's too fine the margin.
Yeah, like I remember in Melbourne, like going out with, I think it was like 228 pace, and you could just feel pretty early on it's too fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be, but
So when that happens, what do you actually go? All right, F it, let's just keep going, or do you actually pull back and go? Let's just be a bit smart about it.
Definitely not the second option. It's almost like I'm lying to myself. I'm just like, no, it's all right. It's like you're not breathing that hard. It's all good. Yeah, and you just like convince yourself.
Yeah.
Because you've committed.
Yeah, well,
It's almost too
like
hard.
When I ran Berlin, I like overthought it too, and just talked myself into this headspace that probably wasn't the best, and led to like stupid decisions of going at
in the positive or in the negative. Just to give me some.
So I went out similar to Smitty, like 228 pace, and then blew up at 30 k's or so.
Yeah.
At least you got to 30 without blowing up to. I think. Actually, no, it was very similar race to be honest.
Exactly
it's pretty much the same. What was your half split?
Went through the half. I think it was like just under 74.
Okay, so it's good guy. Yeah.
It's too quick. It was too
Yeah.
quick. But I don't know. I think that I thought like, oh, it's Berlin. Like, I don't know. Anything can happen. It's the fastest race in the world. Blah blah blah. And just sort of, kind of tried to convince myself that I was in better shape than what I actually was, and didn't work out. But I pulled back a bit and at 10k realized, hang on, like this is too quick for me. I need to slow down. I probably could have ran a lot better. I don't know if I would have gone sub 230. Probably wouldn't have. But maybe could have ran a PB and ran 232 again or something like that.
Yeah. Do you think it's a recurring thing that all of us here are always thinking we don't tell ourselves to hold back enough? Are we not trusting ourselves enough to really try and, because it always happens. I feel good at 10k. Of course you feel good at 10k.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was on world record pace for the first 2k, but no, we're not. No. Do you think it's just us not trusting ourselves enough? That let's see how we go. And we are running way. Quite often we sometimes find we're way beyond what we might be able to do. Like you said, you need to be fitter than your goal time. You want to run sub 250, you need to be a 248 shape. Because anything that happens is too close.
Yeah.
I think, like, I knew I wasn't in 230 shape. So to sort of make up for that, I was almost like trying to bank time. Thinking, okay, well, if I'm feeling good now and I'm ahead of time, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's just not the case. Like, you're just burning your energy, and it didn't work out.
It's almost if you go, there's that certain zone in the marathon. If you go over it, it's just it always ends. It's very rarely going to be like, oh no, we'll keep going at this pace. Like, it's just so I found if I'm second guessing myself or deep down I know that I'm not in that shape, I'm like, that's probably the instinct that's right, to be honest. So, but it's very hard to, because you also want to be positive, and you're like, oh, if I give it a crack, like maybe. So it's this like two minds. I don't know.
The little devil going,
Yeah.
Luke, you're fine. Then
Yeah.
the little chirpy face, no, give it a go, hold back.
Yeah. I think when I ran the one I did in Penrith Lakes, when I ran 236, that felt like pretty much exactly where I was at.
Yeah.
And I was aiming for sub 240, and the training block was like really good. So I've proven that I can, like, because I stuck to that pace. I think I was going at like 235, 236 pace, and I pretty much stuck to it and I never once thought like this is too quick. It did hurt me towards the back end a little bit, but that was like right at the end, and you can just sort of grind it out. So, I mean, I have that. I wouldn't mind just doing that again, but being a bit fitter. Yeah. But who knows? Just put in a good block.
Yep.
And enjoy it. I think for me, the hardest part is obviously just putting all the training together. And when life's like busy, obviously you like flat out
the
at
demands
work.
Of life, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Demands
like
of
half
life,
the challenge as well.
Life gets in the way.
Life gets in the way. So that's
because often we look at the noise of Strava. We just go but often we all hear from our fellow squad mates or running mates the demands of life. There are lots of moms and dads among us who have the second running, as I call it, because having kids is another level of stress. Having kids who are young, lack of sleep, another stress, work stress, spouse stress, mortgage stress, all these adds up that little 1%. And by the time you get to training, you deplete it, even though physically you might have the speed. So I always take in a lot of, very cautious when whoever will coach, what are the other stress point in the next few weeks ahead? Because there's a few questions I ask. What are the big stress point for the next 2 weeks? Any big thing coming up? I have these things affecting me, and I'll plan around those things. Because you can't just put the time, all right, Tuesday, Friday, lock in.
Yeah, that's also the trap, is thinking you just, on paper, this is my block. Just got to stick to it.
Stick to it.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, so that's good that you're sort of adapting. Obviously, from experience, there's been times you pushed it.
Oh yeah,
in training.
I think all three of us have gone through that, and we all have learned that the hard way. But I think often headspace goes first before the body goes, and then we start getting so critical of ourselves, going, right, that was a bad run, and then you start perceiving it. One bad run is one bad buzz, and it's like, that's it, I'm such a bad runner, I'll give up running, quit running. But we are not defined by one bad run, one bad race. I mean, look back at us. I look back at the number of good marathons I've had. I probably had, you give 10 attempts, you probably get 3 good ones. You remember that 3 good ones. But those 7 ones are often that you're so critical of yourself, going, oh, damn it, I hate myself. So yeah, I'm always a big fan of, don't let one training or let one race or let one session determine the kind of character you are. I think is best of the average. I tell this guy Melvin, I said, I don't need you to have a good run. I just need you to have an average run. Have many average weeks. And that's it. We don't need every session to be, it was great. Something is right if this is too great. Because we want you to challenge you, but not too much. How's the sleep? The kids woke me up last night. Okay, let's adjust it. But that's also the challenge.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that's what makes it challenging, and also when it goes well, it makes it that much
very
more
sweet.
Yeah, it makes it that much more rewarding if it comes together, because you know how difficult it is to put together a good training block, because something always seems to come up. But anyway, all right, we're gonna have to we're gonna talk about, so when did you actually switch to marathons?
The first hot go, I think it was 2017 Melbourne. I think I did 302 and change, and then start working my way down. The breakthrough year, I think 2016 I did Melbourne. 2017 was when I had my first sub 3. I still remember really clearly. Tokyo 2017, which is in February for most people who know. You went on social media. I'm gonna run Tokyo, and I'm gonna run really well. But all those noise. Oh, good luck, Buzz. Good luck. That little cell pat on the back. And then I came close. 3 hours 50 something. I was like, oh, you're so close. You got sub 3. But then Michelle, once again, a big shout out to her, just said, think of another one, just don't tell anybody. And I did. 2017, the same year, I went and did my first sub 3 in 2:57. But what was fun was by 38K, I knew I've got it in the bag. With the last 2K, I just slowed down. I started smiling. I remember everything about the last few Ks. Most marathon, when you're hurting, you don't remember a single thing. But that one, I just remember it because I knew you're having fun. You're really having. I had to take a dump. My marathons. I have a problem with my number 2s in my training.
Yeah.
Sorry to everybody about top number 2 during.
We gave a good debrief on number 2s in the last episode.
But yeah, I remember that really well. And then since then, I had the opportunity of training under a different coach. So we went from 2:57 to 2:56, then a big jump to 2:51, which is 2022 Gold Coast. This year didn't quite got there, which was a very different experience. And then now yesterday, of course, signed up for Gold Coast again.
Yes.
Osaka.
Yeah.
And Gold Coast. So what? How did the training evolve leading up to 2022? Like, did you go through many variations, or
we were really clear before we get into the 12 weeks block. As we all know, get ready to be ready. I cannot go into the 12 weeks to be marathon fit. I need to go in ready to be able to jump to the mileage that we needed. There was a period, much to my delight, my wife Helen, she went away to India for some spiritual practice. So for a good 9 weeks or 10 weeks, there was nobody in bed. My house only had just me. I slept diagonally on the queen bed. The kitchen was clean. I ate clean, and there was no disruption. I trained like a proper full-time athlete. I just ran,
Helen,
ate, and worked. She doesn't listen to podcasts. So the big part which I really enjoyed for my long run was having those really variation in terms of the workouts. I remember there was one that got me really fit. We had 2 5K at race pace, 1K floats, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, with a 10K warm up straight non-stop. Jeez. That was a big 36K session. I knew when we finished that, I was like, oh, that was really good. And collectively there was good energy around. Once again, there was a squad around it. And when you have buy-in from everyone around you and you really work together, those 5K, I like to break it down as chunks. For those who have heard me pace a marathon before, which I pace a lot, I always break it down to 5K. And people will say, all right, we only got 2 park runs to go. And people will go, freaking hell, 2 park runs. But it just allows you to get into the right headspace. One thing I always tell people that I coach or anyone that asks me for my 2 cents, I know roads park run very well, like both of you. And we know where every turn is. We know where the rise is. And I always put myself in the shoe of the last 5K of any tough race. Just pretend I'm running my favorite park run, but with the same hurt locker headspace. And when you know that where you are with 3K in the marathon is where you are and how you feel in the 5K race. And that puts you in a whole different, and the same sensation. And they just keep pushing it through there. Yeah. And that's the having those big marathon sessions that in 2022 gave me that confidence going. I'll just break it down into little bits. Do the same route. Don't be afraid of getting a group of people to say, I have a big sessions, I need help to come to do with that. We increased the midweek long run to up to 25. We did that about 4 weeks. That was a big thing. A strong midweek, a strong long run. I think having those two bread and butters, that coach Tony Langerland, a shout out to him in Melbourne, he just said that's the two key things that you need to hit. Do your deltas on Tuesdays, Wednesday long runs. At that time, we were still doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I find now Tuesday, Fridays, and Sundays, it's actually a good formula for myself. But of course, a lot of squats in Sydney are Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
Run crew run Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and long run Sundays. Depends on what everyone works. So I went in a good 16-week campaign, but 4 weeks just on pure base, just on pure build. Minimum, the shortest week was 100K week. Longest week, we peaked at 154, which was,
Getting
for me,
up there.
was wow. It was big. When you know you got big mouths, when you look at your weekly Woolworth bill, it's like, whoa, where did that $160 come from? And you're constantly craving for food and calories all the time. And for me, that's a good indicator. When I run 38K and I still can kick, and that's a really, really good feeling. So we had 5 big runs. The 38K was about a month out. But the rookie era in 2022, straight after the last long run, my headspace just went, oh, I think I'm done now. I've done all the work. The last 4 weeks, I just got too relaxed. All right, big block done. But the last 4 weeks can break the race as well. You fall sick, you change your routine, which I tried to do it this year to keep going through. But I think the complete end of it, I kept training through right up to 2 weeks. Then I really started winding down. That's where I think I caught a bug. Went in a little bit not right. And then I found out the hard way. I wasn't 100% on race day. So this year, 2023, I really went in 248 going, I feel like a 248 person. I knew in my head 250 is a given. I just knew to run the race. By 10K, I was going, I can't do it. So I stopped on the Gold Coast on the way heading up north. And then Arthur pulled in and he saw me walking with my head down, turning back. And he yelled very loudly, I remember clearly, what the F are you doing? Get back onto. He got his bike. Keep going. You just need to keep moving. 3 hours still behind you. You can't do it. So Arthur, shout out to him, followed me all the way back to the bridge to 32K and said, boss, I've been pulled off. Keep going. I just thought, all right, since I already got to 28K, I need to cross the bridge. Then I'll cross the road to DNF. And I got to 32. It's only 10K. I'll just do a 5K to the Macca's to see how I feel. Got to 38K. All right, I'm here. So I still finished it. Not in the horrible 3:30 in the context, but
It's not too bad, yeah.
What was that 10 at the 10? What is that like? I just don't feel good.
What did it feel like?
Yeah.
I just knew it was just, you're not meant to feel that effort at that early in the race.
Okay.
And I think my headspace just was wrong already. It felt like what I did in Tokyo 2017. I went in with the expectations of I have to run a sub 250. I have to run the 248.
Yeah.
The level of expectations is just wrong.
Then you just turn off.
And you're like, oh, same thing as I said.
Yeah.
You're letting one bad effort define you. And I was like, oh yeah, 10K. I'm meant to be here, but I'm not here. That's it. I'm done. And you put your hand out, throw your hand in the air, going, this is bad. This is not meant to be. And so when you're going in with that headspace, yeah, I find going in with the right headspace is so much more important than getting your block right.
Yeah.
Is that what you for you as well? Especially you do a lot of this longer distance stuff.
Yeah, I think having done a bit of, I think the longer distance stuff is actually like easier.
Yeah.
Because there's no pressure to run a fast time. It's like you can actually listen to your body a bit more and take every section of the race as it is and run it to how you're feeling. Whereas in a marathon or something like that, you definitely need to think about your headspace a bit more. And it's easy enough to run a good training block. Like you know whether you've done it or you haven't, but your headspace is probably something that needs a bit of work. And it's almost like learning through experience. I guess all of us have had that bad race. But having that race, I think now going into the next block, I'm going to go into it thinking, okay, let's just have a good run. It doesn't matter whether I run 2:30 or 2:35 or 2:38, as long as I can put in a performance that I'm proud of and that is like a reflection of how much work I've done, then I'm going to be happy. And to do that means, being in the right headspace.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
When you had a bad Melbourne, how was your headspace post race? Do you remember much?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I definitely remember. I think I knew I went out too quick, but to be honest, when I started slowing down, I didn't slow down all things considered, it wasn't terrible. Like I still ran pretty much a PB. It was more, again, the expectation of wanting to run sub 2:30. So I think when I got to about 30k, when I really started to slow down, it was like I was looking for every excuse in the book. So my headspace started going down. Automatically my Achilles started hurting. I've never had Achilles problems in my life.
Where did that niggle come from?
Yeah. I was like, oh God, if I just keep going, I'm gonna bloody hurt this thing. I better pull out.
Oh, that's always another race.
Yeah.
You've done it. You start patting yourself in the back. You're not fighting anymore. You know, you're not fighting anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just switched off. I remember I ran. Obviously, first 21k was 74, 40 or something like that. Obviously too quick. Then it started. There was one 5k split which was really slow, probably 4:10 pace, and that's when when you start running slower, it's very hard to pick up mentally.
Yeah.
But then I managed to switch the mentality of just get to the finish line. You're not that far behind. I think definitely when I started mentally spiraling, it's so easy to I think when I ran 4:10 pace, if I was mentally a bit, I probably could have run faster, but it's so hard when you're in that moment. It's like when you run when you're getting ready to run a fast 5k, you're just, balls to the wall. And then when you're hurting like that, it's you don't understand.
Do you find 5k, you don't have much opportunity to let the mind spiral?
Yeah.
Compared to a marathon distance, Tom?
Yeah, I feel like it's like that. The 4th K is where you really start questioning yourself. And then you get through that and it's okay, there's only 1K to go, I can do this.
Yeah.
But it's always that 4th K is it's always slower for me. And then compared to all the others in the race. And that's where your mind starts to creep in a little bit. Because there's still a long way to go and you can't quite mentally see through to the finish line. So, I think you do still feel it a little bit, but you get through it pretty quickly and can just move on to the next sort of thought.
Yeah. How do you combat yourself when your mind starts spiraling in a longer race? Especially now that you also have transcend across from marathon training all the way to very longer stuff. How do you combat? How do you stop that noise that goes, hi Dom?
Hi Dom.
Hi Dom.
Give up, Dom.
I think, the longer stuff, there's probably a bit that I can take from that moving into the marathon. I felt like Bondi to Manly, we all went out really, really fast and we all started cramping a lot, way too early. But I was able to just accept, this is the best I can do right now with the cramps and everything that's going on. So just keep pushing to the best level that I can push to and keep toughing it out. So the pace went from 4:10s to 5-minute Ks, but I was proud of that and I was happy with 5-minute Ks, which I think makes a massive difference because you're still moving yourself positively forwards and you've got that good mental energy that is helping you to kind of finish the race. But I don't know, I guess that's probably the biggest thing. And in the marathon, it could be the same thing. You go out too quick and you start falling apart. But as long as you're mentally can accept, okay, this is the pace I'm at now and this is the best I can do, then it's the difference between a good race and a bad race.
Yeah. Luke, do you have anything when things go really noisy in your head?
Every race is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like some races, everything just clicks and it's almost like you can control your mentality a little bit. Like Dom was saying, you feel like even though you're hurting, it's still somewhat positive. Whereas, I don't know if it's mixing in with the expectation, if it's not aligning with your expectation, because I find in like a hard 5K race, if I'm ahead of pace and I'm feeling like okay, it kind of pushes me forward to then really suffer well, if that makes sense. Whereas if I go out, 5K and I'm in my head, I'm like, all right, I want to try run sub 16. First K is, I don't know, first K is like slower than that, and like the first K should be quicker. Then I sort of not switch off, but it starts the negative conversation and then once it starts, it gets momentum, you're just in serious trouble. And then that's when by the 4th K you're running like 340 and you're just, so I don't know, it's a bit of, for the longer stuff, for the marathon, to everyone I've done was like started to struggle a little bit towards the end, but nothing like that one I did in Melbourne where I really had to like combat like Achilles problems, or like I had to be like no, just keep moving forward. I felt like I could control, I don't know, you can consciously, but sometimes it's got a darker tone to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, what do you reckon?
I always say do what you can with what you have, whatever time that you've got left. I think we always say control what you can, don't try and control what you can't control, but it's do what we can with what you have. I think that's really it. Same thing is like, I don't have much time today, I'll just go and run 5K. 5K is 5K. But sometimes just giving yourself that bit of grace, going, let's not be so hard on myself today, let's just go and run 25 minutes 5K. So I'm not gonna not lose my job or lose a roof because I can't get my PB time. I'm gonna lose a sponsorship. None of us here are pro athletes that we don't worry about it. It's once again that expectations conversations I find that kind of really ruins the whole fun and joy. Then you start chasing marathon times, and then it just becomes an endless loop, and then you start chasing the next big race and such. There was a period that I was thinking, Badwater is the world best thing, Sri Chinmoy 1,000 miles the world best thing, but this long distance are other people's thing. It's not Buzz thing, it's not a Keith Hong thing. They were sexy among that community I was in, but it's actually not my thing. I remember Benita Willis, for the record, when she first took me as an athlete, she brought me from a 316 to 301. And she said to me, Keith, I've done a lot of hard races. I said, yeah, Benita knows no shit. You've done a lot of hard races. And she said, she hasn't done an ultra, but she said to me, it's a lot harder to run a good marathon well than trying to run a 100-miler, which I think you and I have done another long distance to really agree it's very hard. And same thing, when she won Chicago, did she win Chicago? When she ran 2:22:44 in Chicago, which was the then Australian record at the time, is well documented. She felt horrible all the way to 34K. She said, I'm going to pull out. She felt bad all the way. But somehow their inner conversations among herself is just so different again. Let's just see how it goes. So even elite athletes have that conversations. Why do we give ourselves so much shit to that we are not having a good day? It doesn't matter, it's a good day. But then again, we all keep training because we have that desire. We train X time, we need to get Y results, but it's never linear.
No, not at all. Yeah,
it's a really good point. I like that. Like it's not just the mindset for the race, though. It's for your whole training block. I think that getting out the door and running for half an hour is better than not running at all.
Then beating yourself going, today didn't go well, I'm a bad runner.
I didn't do the 2 hours that I had prescribed or you sort of just like end up sitting at home talking yourself out of going for the run.
Eating more Kit Kats and
Yep.
Lindor chocolates.
Yeah, thanks for these buzz.
Oh, you're welcome. People would think this episode is sponsored by Lind.
I mean, it could be. It very well could be.
Lind chocolate for the record. We are
sponsored by Buzz. Lovely gift to the Chiefs. But I think that mentality of that I was talking about of spiraling definitely applies in training if you with setting expectations. Like you said, like even if you don't hit your marathon workout, that can spiral into the next week and be like, oh, I'm not on track, and then you start losing the enjoyment and the joy for the actual running.
Yeah.
And it's like, but yeah, I don't know. We all go through the different periods of motivation towards it. You just got to work with that mentality of like working with what you've got in the moment is definitely something that makes sense.
Lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at Delta has a lot of great female runners.
Yeah.
Bronwyn is someone I look up to a lot. If I put myself, her, I'm not on her level, but she's a mum. I look at them as athlete, not female athletes, but they're really training around the demands of their work, demands of their career, demands of their roles and responsibilities as a spouse, a wife, a partner, a mom, a daughter, and that's what they got. And they can do it because they just really want it. She really, really wanted it, and I think that so that's my phone. Sorry,
That's so good.
We can turn that off. Which I'll answer that in a minute. That's Helen, my wife. I'm swapping it off. So, and it's just not able to compare. I mean, I run with Amy, who is a much faster track 5K, but we all have on a different journey, and it's really difficult. It's hard. I can't look at you and going, I'm not going to get to your pace. I can't look at you and go, I'm not running as fast as the longer distance. Yeah, we're all on a very, very different trajectory, different journey. But
I think we're all united in that sense that we're all trying to push our own limits.
Yeah.
And it's like regardless of whatever the pace or the goal is, I feel like we go through very similar experience. So it's like, I don't know.
But that's what binds us together, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the training, when you let me, but when you go, some of you go Buzz. And then we'll go Dom. But we all get it. We all get
we
that.
know.
We get it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing 3:15 versus you're doing 3:30,
going through
we're
the
still
same
going
thing.
through the same thing.
Yeah.
We could have slept in. We could have been under the quilt and hearing the little light drizzle hitting the roof. But we are out there, and so which is why I think Delta is so special that everyone really gets it. I mean, not just Delta, every running squad.
Yeah.
I think that what
definitely.
makes us also, we get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
You don't have a time, do you?
No.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Okay. What about coaching? When did you actually start coaching people?
I've coached a few athletes along the way whenever my time really allows. I'm unfortunately one person who wear too many hats. I really feel one of my biggest belief is if I can't get the experience, I'll create the experience, which is why I'm doing so many things outside. But I think the proper coaching are probably about 4 or 5 years ago. A couple of people along the way from different groups that I've worked with. There's a guy who was part of Vlad's group, Run Lab, but it was with another guy, Damon, that I worked alongside him for a while. But properly, I think the last probably year, now I have Melvin Wong, who's based in Singapore, really solid runner, runs about 72 mid, half, 237 PB. I think being a fellow Singaporean, fellow Asian, there is that appreciation that he wants me to know that he feels. He feels back in Singapore, there's a lot of coaches that don't have of what it's like to train in the kind of humidity and the kind of heat, and the limitations of the kind of squats. He seems to enjoy some of my philosophy. Georgia Bar, she reached out to me a few times, and we decided to work together, which is always a nice privilege. And two other fellow Delta athletes whom I wouldn't say coach, but I said I give them programs every week for the last few months, in exchange for a good big bowl of ramen at times, but not on the official coach. So I've now about 4 athletes, but as a coach that I rotate, which all have very similar philosophy. I start off with the week stress level for the next few weeks, really adapt. Big core of it. I'm not quite a Lidard person. I think Lidard works for some athletes, not all athletes. I think that could be a very dangerous territory.
Yeah.
Because big base, big mileage, miles and miles.
Yeah.
Equally, I've seen people with a lot of good success on 90K a week, but that's because inherently they have a really good cardiovascular fitness base, because you can't really judge them all the same. So for me, the philosophy has always been the current stress that you have, the current life that you have, currently what works. Georgia's very different from Melvin, very different from Jess Pelfrayman. It's been a very good opportunity for me to just share what the pitfalls are. I think my role is more as holding them back. I don't think a lot of the athletes who have a coach have an accountability problem, but it's just about people going, come on, Luke, wind them back. I think that's how I see it. Do you find it's the same for you when you have a coach that Sally tells you, oh, that was a bit too hot? What were you doing?
Yeah, it's definitely have someone to think things through for you, to get you outside of your own head, for sure, and have the accountability, definitely, and the structure definitely helps. But for sure, I think the approach of taking current life stress and what's going on in your life is massive, because obviously if you just get a program, it can be just cut and paste, or if it's an online program, if there's not a consultation piece, then it's almost like what's the point, because obviously there's value in that, but obviously having someone to message and bounce ideas off and stuff like that would definitely help.
It's almost every day. Every second day is the longest sometimes, with Melvin and Georgia and Jess, very, very frequently. I give her at least a good 4 weeks visibility, but the detailed program, probably 2 weeks. But I think for her and Melvin and Jess, they have emphasized to incorporate part of their social life is really important, as we know how important that is. But really the big thing we're experimenting now is that Tuesday, Thursday formula. And checking in, reminding the body, is this a normal fatigue, or is this a training fatigue, or is this a overtraining fatigue? Sometimes it's a bit hard to tell, because you're not living in their body, you're not doing, but I think having that constant expectations to go, what was done differently? I did a lot more today. And Georgia works at pace. Sometimes it can be very demanding. Melvin has a full-time job. Jess is on the feet all day. So everyone operates very differently. I track a lot of sleep, by the way. 5 hours, it's like heart rate. My spreadsheet has a lot of heart rate. How many hours you slept? I was like, oh, what happened there? Oh, the kids woke me up a few times. Change the workout to the next day, an easy run today. We do a lot of last minute change.
Right. That's a good metric. I think tracking sleep really sort of starts to tell the whole story a bit more. That's something I wouldn't mind doing in the future, probably.
Do you wear a watch to go to bed?
Oh, not really, but
got the Oura ring.
Oh yes. Do you look at the data when you wake up in the morning and say how many hours and what's your resting? And
I do, I do. If I go out drinking, I take it off. I don't want to see that.
I know Gary Mullins, who runs TRT. If his heart rate goes above a certain number, I don't know what it is. I remember he told me before. He will adjust his training and he will adjust his subsequent social engagement. Sorry, I haven't slept well. My heart rate says this much. I can't go out. I need to rest, and then he'll resume again.
Yeah, right.
So that's an interesting philosophy again. Same thing. Sean is very much a how's everything else. So it's really interesting. Some coaches have different gauge of metrics, but mine is always about stress around and the sleep.
For sure. We actually have some questions from some people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This one's from Georgia.
Oh, hi, Georgia.
Firstly, who's your favorite athlete? Kidding.
Okay. It's like,
No,
I'm
I'm
gonna
kidding.
offend people here.
No. I'm joking. How, obviously, you being so busy, how do you juggle running and work life?
I'm in a fortunate space where I really embrace my work. I wouldn't call myself working in the world of events. I call myself working in a space of creating experiences for people. I take a lot of joy walking away from that. It's not often you get to plan the whole public Australia Day event for the whole of Sydney, or sitting in the control room looking at sea to surf, or but for me it's just about what's a priority at this point in time. At this point in time, 2nd of December 2023, my work requires me to be this. My hat is unfortunately Helen. Husband is second. Work needs me to be right up until this period. Running is when I can, because I feel if I were to really try and fit in the 100% schedule, I'll be resentful of the pace that I can't hit, the mileage that I can't hit, the people that I can't hang out and really enjoy. I can't sit down and enjoy a coffee with you. I can't come in here to your place and have this podcast with you guys, because I need to be really realistic. What's a priority at this time? There's a conversation I have with another fellow squad mates, which I won't name that person. They have a lot of different challenges: moving house, selling house, thinking about changing jobs, taking on 2 more marathons. Those things just adds a lot of wrong expectations that you go, is this what this period of your life demands you to? You're gonna try and, if we're gonna try and, I know Osaka will be a very different headspace versus Gold Coast. Osaka, will I run a 2:48? I wouldn't know, but I know Osaka is allowing me to have a great block leading into Gold Coast. So that allows me to shift the priorities around to go, right, this is a 110K week during this period. But when I hit the block and I know that work demands is out of the way, don't hold back. It's like
running hat.
This is running hat. This is the beast mode. and it's really important, because we are not full-time athletes. And I sometimes I don't know about both of you, I look at full-time athletes, I go, I don't want to live their life.
No.
They will say, I didn't get the sponsorship, I got dumped because I didn't hit that PB, I didn't get the appearance fee. It's a tough life.
Yeah, definitely.
And yet we all just see the sexy side of it. Everyone, for the kudos, they get free shoes. I was like, I'd rather pay for my own shoes and wear whatever shoes I want.
Yeah.
Look at Liam, he hasn't been supported by any brands. So it's really making sure that I'm very aware before I sign up, what are the demands. Like I didn't sign up for Melbourne Marathon because I know for that part of the year, my demands needs me to be to do what's right, satisfy my own interests, my work obligations, my role as a husband, a role as a friend, a role as a coach. But I know March to June, it's a boss Keith Hong time. I don't do anything else. I'm antisocial. Work has nothing. I push everything back. I tell my team members, they all know that. Oh, boss, you haven't ran today, haven't you? No. Yeah, go and run. So that's how I balance that's how I plan around my marathon block and my training and my distance. That call.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, that's a great answer.
Answer to a straightforward question.
Yeah.
No, good
perspective as well. Like, I feel like you can't be in beast mode like full year round.
No.
And I feel like, in the past, I'm kind of started to learn that lesson when you start trying to race like this race and then that race and then the next race. I feel like, I've like stressed myself out too much, and my body just in the end says, we need to chill
And it's
out.
worse when your body hit that part.
Yeah.
It takes you a lot longer to get back.
Definitely.
Body is one thing. It takes your head space a lot longer to come back too.
100%.
And when that's derailed, you lose that anchor, which is for me is a really important thing.
Yeah.
Some people have kids as the anchor, family as the anchor, career as the anchor. But you lose that running, which is so high adrenaline, which is why all of us are such adrenaline junkie, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah. No denying that.
We lose it, and then we lose everything else. Just doesn't. Your work goes down, your performance goes down. For the men, your libido goes down, and it's all connected.
Yeah.
So you can't put all your eggs in that basket, because everything else is really gonna go.
True.
Everything else will go, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, you definitely can't maintain it all year round. There's no
Not
way.
year-round, yeah.
There's no way. That's why that intentional.
It's hard to take a break though. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
And
you don't want to lose fitness, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And telling people, like, everyone asks you all the time, oh, what are you training for? And to say, oh, I'm not training for anything, it's like, it sounds a bit weird, but I don't know. I think that's fine. Like, you need to have periods of downtime for sure.
Which is to Georgia, who asked that questions. I'm actually excited that right this period before she really jumps into the professional workforce, white collar person, that she has this period that she's able to really dedicate and really learn herself as an athlete. And I said to her, whether she wanted me to say it on record, I said, Zetopek B race is what I really think you should be looking at in 2024. Tarawera is a social exercise, but I really think if she does well, get the good mileage right, and the body can hold back. She has been doing 100K a week for ever.
Yeah.
So she has that, but it's just whether she has the endurance, the 5 minutes K across unsealed trail or across that long period of time, 50K to be competitive. Can she be competitive? I think she has that instinct in it, and she's driven enough. So I think this is a really, really exciting period for her. When she goes into professional life, the demands will be different again. And relationships, the demands of the relationship. So I think that has to be the primary thing before we think about everything else.
For sure. Got another question from Meg, this one. I think you kind of touched on it, but what's been your key to running and enjoying the sport for so long?
Hi, Meg. I think having around the right community, I always put my mates first. I'm not afraid to come to Luke. Luke, I love you. I love your energy. Dom, I love, and I am, when I say I love them, not in an intimate, loving, way, but as in I really care. And I always say, if you want to lift yourself, lift others first, and that lifts up the vibration. We all have seen that YouTube clip when you put the tuning fork and you knock it, and you take another tuning fork, you get close to it. The tuning fork that's not vibrating, if it's on the same frequency, the other tuning fork would vibrate as well. So I find if you feel your energy levels is really low, you just set the experience, set the expectations, which is why I'm always jumping into Delta chats. Like, let's do this, let's try that, let's be a bit more energetic, a bit more enthusiastic about everything. I'm probably too enthusiastic about everything. I think having that supportive environment, if you feel the environment is not supportive, be one. Be the person that's creating the supportive. Both of you are creating this podcast to give insights and information and knowledge to everyone, and that's your role. You amaze everyone with all your amazing runs all the time. I can't remember who I was talking to about you looking and your beautiful strides in the last 1K at Bondi to Manly. I was like, that's like a classic beautiful stride, long trailing leg. Same thing, and we were talking about you going, your park runs always so consistent. It's about you setting the right space for other people. And same thing. I like to be out there just to give to other people and say, right, if this is my time to give, which is why I'm constantly involved with all the different organizations still. I'm still supporting Sea to Surf, still supporting Runaway. Being on the advisory board for Bondi to Medley has been amazing. And still playing part in all these things that help impacts everybody's experience a little bit more. And they're also part of my job. Get to apply what I know professionally into all this experience that we all get to be part of.
Yeah, that's good. I think. Question from Gaddy.
Hey, Gaddy.
Being in the running circle for so long, what have you seen that's sort of changed over time? Good, bad, anything in particular you can think of?
What's changed? I think people are starting to discover more what they're really in tune for, more in the context of people who realize that they really enjoy long distance running because they really enjoy that element of with the nature, and they realize they don't need to go and dabble into marathons. For those who are hardcore road distance runner, they stay within people are starting to stay within their lane a little bit more. Okay. I think that's just because the prevalence of social media, that you get to try many. It's like going to a buffet and you realize, am I a prawn seafood person, or am I a carnivore meat person? And after you sample everything, then you realize I'm sticking to this, which is why you see there's a very dedicated cohort of the UTMB's cohort. There's a very dedicated of Ironman. There's less and less crossover among all the different things now. I think back in the early 2010s, 2009s period, there's still people trying with different things, going from one Ironman to a road marathon to short track races. But now I think people are a lot more dedicated, but equally their expectations is also a little bit more higher now. You get this boom that we're experiencing. The current marathon sold out in 72 hours, so 70 hours. It's unprecedented. But that's because everyone knows that is my lane. I have all these amazing tools, i.e. super shoes, to help me be a better runner, whether going from 5 hours to 4.5, whether going from 3 hours to 250, or me towards my sub 250 and 240. I'm staying in my lane more. I'm a bit more vocal about getting the right coach. I'm a bit more vocal about what podcasts I listen to, Running with the Chiefs. So I think when you know that, it's amazing. And that's why people are staying with their squad and their coaches a lot longer than people jumping from coaches to coaches to coaches to coaches. So I think people are starting to do less squad jumping now. I realize that. I don't know whether, for example, Turbo, do you get a lot of the same dedicated people there for a longer time?
Yeah, like it's kind of gone through two different classes of people. Like there's the sort of original sort of class of people that were around when Turbo was sort of just kicking off during COVID, and a lot of those people have now sort of, I don't know, lost interest in running or moved on to other things, which is fine. I think everyone goes through different periods in their life. But then there was like another sort of influx of people who all started running within the last 2 years or so, and now they're kind of like the core sort of Turbo group. So the whole squad has like changed a lot, but the people that go to Turbo, they don't really go to any other runs. They're just going to Turbo, which is interesting. I think that running is a tough sport, and it does take like a good few years to sort of perfect whatever race you're doing. So to be chopping and changing is kind of hard, because you sort of have to commit to something and say, okay, I'm going to try this and do this properly. Which, I think, I don't know, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I think that, if you do something for too long, you could be missing out on other things too. So, I don't know, it's a tough one, but I think I agree. Everyone sort of is in their own lane a bit more, but it seems like there's a lot more variety of road races and variety of I don't know,
destinations,
track races too, which makes it a bit more easier to stay in your lane because there's that many events on that you can get a bit of newness doing the same thing. Yeah.
Still same lane, but no different destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Should we... Oh, I want to hear about City to Surf.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What do you want to know about Sea to Surf?
What is it like to be a
Organizing?
part of... what's it... Because
For the record, it's the world's biggest timed fun run. There's a world biggest fun run. I think it's Vancouver. I think that's over 100,000+.
How do they define fun run?
Fun run's anything not a defined distance. It's not half. It's not a set,
that makes sense.
set label distance. It's not 10K or 10 mile, 15K. So fun run's it's an ad hoc distance.
Yeah.
So
Does that mean there wouldn't be any bigger marathons or half marathons or defined
The
distances?
biggest marathon I think it's so far is London.
Yeah.
It's a singular, it's in its own entirety. Vancouver, the fun run. I don't remember what's the name of it, but it's in Canada. It's over 130 or 120,000 people.
Okay.
To put it a bit more morbid, Sea to Surf is the best place to have any medical episode because the number of doctors, emergency personnel's ratio to participants is really high. New South Wales Health always use that as a means to test their practices, their comps, their triage. The triage in Bondi is always pretty amazing. The logistics of closing down 14 kilometers of roads in the heart of Sydney. If a new organizer to say I want to put millions of dollars, it will never be possible to go through 3 councils. It's there's expectations of closing streets. You need strict hostile vehicle mitigation strategy in place, not just putting cones and black and gold barriers. You need to put proper trucks and buses, which is why you see buses in certain corners of the streets, or garbage truck. You would think it's so ugly and smelly, but there's reasons behind all of that. The amount of user pay police. Yes, organizers have to pay for police to be there at $132 an hour minimum of a pair, multiplied by 15 kilometers across that many hours, across the dogs, across the security, across the full course start and finishing line is easily a couple of $100,000 just for police. The logistics of coordinating 3,200 drink station volunteers, start volunteers, finishing volunteers, collecting clothes at the start line for 80,000 people of discarded clothes. That's a whole operations. It's huge. But it's been going for so many years. It's a clockwork. It takes 12 months to plan for the next one. It's amazing experience. Road closure starts from 1 o'clock or 1:30, and people don't pack up to Bondi till about 9 p.m. at night. So it's a really big day for the current group, Ironman, who owns the event. But for the year I've been involved, which is the first year was 2011, my role now is I look after the elites and so help coordinate the start line. The best part, the start line, is to be able to see 80,000 people just going.
Yeah.
But simple things such as a piece of leaf, a wrapper of a gel, that the part of a road that is not cleared, one person, we just need one person slipped. It's a stampede. And we have seen enough races around the world, a stampede at the races like Sea to Surf. Things could go wrong, people could die. We still have medical spotters on scissor lift to oversee anybody get compressed or get too crowded. There are strategies in place to thin out the crowds, which is why you see the slower groups, the blue, the orange, the yellow, the greens, not the greens, have barriers to spread them out. That's to really ensure that Bondi doesn't get smashed by thousands of people coming in. They reach out to a crowd measurement specialist who has a big physics background on crowd flow. If we have the crowd barrier opening up this big versus that big, it's like a water flow. It's a whole science to plan that. it's amazing. It's logistically, operationally a huge event. I'm still happy after 11, 12 years. I'm still involved in the event. I've been on the top with a lot of amazing people who have DJed right in the center. So it's really, really cool. But the best part is seeing you guys at the front line going, everyone good, and giving everybody a fist pump, and really facilitating everyone who deserve to be at the front to be at the front, which is why the seated, the preferred is still there. Although I do know they are exploring different configurations to create better experiences for runners, but it's great race. Yeah, you had a great race.
And thanks. We
got you to the front.
Yeah,
we got you to the front.
Sure.
Deservingly now.
Okay.
Now you're officially part of the deservingly. Yeah. So we got you to the front.
Yeah. I'm very, very grateful for that because there was something about that race where I just knew I was like in really good shape. It's one of those opposite things of showing up to a marathon trying to go for 2:30 and then being like, I just knew that I was in good shape. And then I've always had a good time at City to Surf as well. Yeah. Everyone says how good the event is and you don't realize how much that goes into it as well.
Yeah. It's behind the scenes runners, same thing. I think in this podcast, however, we're long on, we talk about expectations, but to really appreciate, to coordinate that many number of people, the communications, the operations, logistics, road closures, people will think, oh, I get charged so much. Same thing, people are not complaining about $180 for marathons, but hundreds of thousands of dollars goes into the putting together. Australia is one of the world's most expensive places to hold races.
Yeah, right.
Just go on Sunday rate, you pay minimum wage, $35. Volunteers is a different thing. Volunteers are all on a donation. We get different church group to come and support us. There's different community groups, but just imagine, just to coordinate volunteers, 3,000 plus volunteers,
and
then to spread it out across 15K. Then you had to think about the tail runners. You had to think about the slowest people who walk, City to Surf, 4 hours, 5 hours. It's a big. So it's operationally great, but everyone have such a amazing experience. We have Aidan Hobbs, shout out to him, who runs, who have done really well the last few years, including this year. I think he came in 6th or top 10. Then he ran back, then ran with his family in the orange group. There are people who does that.
Yeah. How does he get back?
Does he wear the
Superman suit? That's correct. Yeah. How it came about is when it was still televised. See the Surf, if you remember years ago, See the Surf is always broadcast. His grandma said, how am I going to know that I can see you? I know. I'll wear the Superman suit. And that's how Aidan became the Superman. Of course, he's a legitimate, solid runner.
I think he's like in the steeplechase. Did he place at nationals one
year?
Yeah,
he does. Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's
like best runner in Australia.
Yeah. So that's the story of the Superman at City to Surf, for those who don't know. And of course, we have seen the way Harry ran his near course record, 40 minutes. Yeah. He missed the course record just by a few seconds.
It's a bit controversial, wasn't it?
Yeah. What's the go with that?
I think there was about where exactly is the start line, where exactly is there was a gap in the actual
like
gun time, mat time. And also how well Ed Goddard has
a lot of great stories.
A lot of great stories. Of course you have all the greats have run it, all the Shelley, the St. Lawrence. You just look at all the history, all the amazing people who have won it. Yeah. The Paul Arthur. Shout out to Paul. Why all these names still such a big household is because the way that race to win that race, it solidifies you as you are truly you can't fake that race.
No.
You can't be a fast flat. You can't be a great climb. You can't be a great downhill. You have to be extremely versatile, tactical. Exception is the year that Steve Monaghetti commentated the race. I don't know whether you know, there was one year Steve Monaghetti was commentating the race and he's running. All right, this is the Heartbreak Hill now. I think he still came in 4th or 5th. So that was, I can't remember which year. I mean, he
That's
won it a
insane.
few times too.
Yeah, what a legend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think has he got the record?
Still got the course
Yeah.
record. Yeah, still hold the course record.
What is the course record again?
It's like
40:01 or 40:02
Yeah.
for that course.
That's insane.
So one officially the course distance measured AIMS standard is actually 13.97.
Oh,
It's
there you
under
go.
14 kilometers
Yeah, right.
officially. So
Okay.
that's measured by Mr. Dave Cundy, who's one of the only gold label course measurer here. So yeah, it's
Could they chuck on an extra 30 meters somewhere?
I think it's just that's the distance. It's a fun run.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's a fun run, but then if it's a labeled race, it's a whole different thing. The precision that those guys have to measure. We're gonna talk about course measuring another day. It's a
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about like how prepared the race is and how well staffed it is and all the logistics that go behind it. Has anything gone wrong, or are there any sort of like big incidents that you can think of?
Without putting up to the people always die.
Yeah, right.
It's not unexpected, but when you talk about 80,000 people with 80% of people who don't really train but just have that's their coast to cozy. That's their Mount Everest each year.
Yeah.
And you push hard. There was a year where an individual was at the finishing line, finishing line, collapsed, passed.
Shit.
It was on live TV, and
Jeez.
but to give context, they were moved to the triage less than a minute. It's very quick.
Yeah.
The medical support, I cannot be more impressed by the medical setup at every location, every point. So those kind of morbid stuff that you don't really see. There was one year we nearly had a cancellation. Nearly.
Really?
I think it's 16 or 17, 16 or 15. 2015 or 2016. It was a year where it was so windy that the team couldn't set up the finishing line. You always have cups at the finishing line. You stack it up. It was so windy they can't even put one cup. And they had to go to Costco. Costco just opened like a few weeks ago, buy like 20 pallets of bottled waters for 80,000. They need to buy more because they bought like 200,000 bottles of water.
Wow.
Clover Mall called the then race director, said, "Are you going to cancel Sea to Surf?" We're like, "No."
Yeah.
And it was just that came close to canceling.
That's crazy.
That would have been
There
so much
hadn't been
pressure.
any known security risks, not that I'm aware of. But the police always get quite good intelligence if there's any untoward thing, which is something in my line of work. We get a good level of we have this hostile risk intel that we get before big events. Vivid gets it, Sydney Marathon gets it. Then the level of risk plans you have in place is determined by the kind of risk profile. For example, if there's a protest about certain issues, the risk profile will be very different from a road running event, and so forth. So Sea to Surf have always been on the it's just a big event, but all these basic needs to be in place. The trucks, the vehicles, the hostile vehicle mitigation plan, which is comprehensive in itself, high cost as well. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. Crazy, like something like putting cups or bottles almost cancel the race.
And people don't appreciate it. They think, same thing. It's diluting the right amount of electrolytes, pouring to the half bin using the kind of tap. There was one year one tap just couldn't get turned on, and the tap was brown.
Oh no!
People just don't realize it, and reminding volunteers, please wear gloves when you're stirring the thing and using what to stir the tub. And you need to be so quick because you're talking about thousands and thousands of cups in 4 or 5 heights.
Jeez.
There's a lot of this logistics that you just need to think about. how much cups, the kind of cups you use, biodegradable, how much waste are you generating, how you're going to bring all these waste out from, and before I know it, by 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you just walk down Hyde Park, you never see the surf was ever there.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know how quick and how amazing City of Sydney and the whole operations team, just go down, come at 12 o'clock on a Sunday, second Sunday in August. It's clean.
It's crazy.
The turnaround is just quick. Yeah. So it's a very well-oiled machine.
Wow.
Awesome.
Do you want to do your segment, Don?
Oh, yeah. We ask like all the guests usually about a few sort of running lifestyle topics.
Yep.
So things like shoes that you're using at the moment.
Yep.
What's the shoe rotation look like?
I love my New Balance Rebel as my daily trainer. They're great. My choice of race day shoe is my RC Elite version 3. I have 3 pairs of it. One, I'm wearing it. 2 in the box. What else do I also have? I have 2 pairs of Vaporflies on the way out. I realized ever since I switched to New Balance, the Vaporflies just start to trigger the plantar a little bit more.
Yeah.
I have a few Essex Nova Blasts. They were courtesy of Essex. I had one pair of Brooks, courtesy of Pace. Thank you, Pace. But I'm on currently New Balances work really well for me.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, but the Nikes, I've gone off probably about the last 18 months now. The Vaporflies I can't wear Alpha Flies. My foot strike is just too loud for me. My foot is just too heavy. I really need something that's very cushioned and well supported.
Yeah.
That's the gait of runner that I am, and because I'm quite lower limb. For those who don't know me, I'm quite small in body length. I got big quads and big calves, and because of that, I'm not light on my foot, and I need that support to do that, because you got a similar body type, but you're a lot slimmer, and I think, I don't know whether you wear a harder shoe. Is that correct? What kind of shoe?
Yeah, a little bit harder shoe probably. Yeah, I got the New Balance Bongo at the moment, which is not too bad, but I'm pretty experimental with shoes. Like I'll wear a lot of different things.
Whichever's on sale.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, Don's got a famous quote about shoes. They're all the same.
But definitely with the Nikes, you notice that they suit much skinnier foot, and I don't feel like the most comfortable wearing them. I usually just wear them because they're fast.
But they are fast.
Yeah, and
I have a pair of the Essex Metaspeed Edge. That was more because I just want to support Sydney Marathon, who gave us a 40% discount, because Essex I was the pacer for 3:15.
Yeah.
And they encouraged us to wear all Essex gears. They gave us the top, the shorts, the socks, the cap. The shoes, we can't support you with shoes, but here's a good 40% discount. So I tried that. So I've been using that for my tempo run, which is great. But that's more, I'm a typical Japanese runner, as I'm a little duck, but my cadence is very high. And my cadence is like 195, 996. I'm not like a long, beautiful strikes like what you have. I know you also have quite a fast cadence as well.
Yeah.
But because I'm quite short, somehow the Essex just doesn't work for me. Maybe because they're just a bit harder as well.
Right.
So I wish the Essex would have worked, because they're made for runners like me with a faster cadence. So yeah.
But you found the New Balance is
found the New Balance work for me. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. The other one we usually talk about is diet.
Yes.
Is there any sort of diet that you follow, or?
No, I'm on a Marley Spoon Hello Fresh every plate diet.
Yeah.
I know I can control the meal. I know I don't have the head space to think about what to cook. This podcast is not sponsored by any of them.
But if you
But
listen-
you know,
but-
it's a
but,
really
we
great
are happy
product.
to.
Yeah.
But I go on a
happy.
rotation with all those this cook it yourself meals plan. I know I get the calories. I know I always pick the high protein, high carb versions, but I tend to top up with my own muesli bars quite frequently. I don't really have cheat days. I just eat pretty clean. I'm still typical Asians. I still like my fried rice. I still like my wonton noodle soup at this place in Neutral Bay. But yeah, I eat fairly clean.
Do you track your calories at all? Or?
No, not
Yeah,
at all.
no.
But I just go by. Recently, I started taking on a lot more frozen bananas, throwing with dates and oat milk. A quick calorie boost as a top up.
Yep.
One big thing that I've changed in the since Gold Coast 2022, I really up my intake of protein. I've become a big fan of the True Protein, the whey protein concentrate, WPC.
Yep.
Those guys at ItPace introduced me to it and said really good. And this guy, they introduced me to it, but I went to another store. They said, if you're not a fan of protein drink, buy the vanilla version and mix it with orange juice. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And I thought this is the world's most disgusting suggestions. And I looked it up. It's actually a very American. Do you know the drink Orange Julius?
Right.
It's very popular in Asia. And I tried it. It's not too bad. So if you have vanilla flavored protein and you want not just to add water or milk, put orange juice, you're getting the calories from the orange juice, but you're getting the protein recovery. It's actually a really good. I find that it goes down really well. So that has been my pretty much after every long run, orange juice, mix it with my vanilla True Protein.
Yeah, right. I think that that's actually a thing. Like the vitamin C or something in the orange juice goes with the protein and helps it get absorbed
That's
better or
right.
something.
Yeah. Same thing as when you take magnesium. I do take the pillar magnesiums as well, but they do encourage you to have it with some form of vitamin C just to help you to the carrying and absorption as well.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Interesting. That's the next question we usually ask: is any supplements that you take?
Oh yeah, pillar magnesium 2 at night before I go to bed.
Yeah.
If I take 3, I know my plumbing system gets too active. So 2 at night.
Is that just 2 tablespoons? Or?
I'm lazy. I never buy supplements that is powder.
Okay.
If I buy powder, it always ends up hardening up and I forget about it. I need it to be as simple for me, so I always only buy tablet.
Yeah, right.
Just because I know it's an extra step, because we're spending so much time running and thinking about everything else, what to wear, do the laundry, fold the laundry. All of us have probably loads of running laundry. So tablets is always my go-to. But pillar has been great, and I buy them either at the Gold Coast Expo or any of the expo or from guys at Pace.
Yeah. And do you think that taking magnesium, you've noticed a difference?
It's really the sleep.
Yeah.
I know I have quite funny dreams. I get really deep sleep when I take them. I don't get cramps much from the mileage that I do, but the it just helped me improve my quality of sleep. And when you wake up slightly fresher, you can just be a little bit more oomph in your effort the next day.
Yeah, right. The next one is equipment. Is there any, I don't know, other sort of running gear that you...
No, Garmin tried and tested. I was exploring Stride, but I just find that means there'll be another set of data that I need to follow.
Yeah.
That I don't think I'm in that headspace to try and digest that data.
Yeah.
I'd rather focus the extra mental headspace to be more consistent. Perhaps even think about including more double sessions, whether it's double sessions on treadmill or double sessions on elliptical, which I know Megan is exploring, incorporating that a lot more in their training, which I know a lot of American athletes do a lot of that. Not just American, a lot of other athletes do on that. So it's just, but equipment's very simple, just a watch. The note of supplements, I do take Revis a lot, as I was sharing with Luca
the
earlier.
caffeine.
The caffeine strip. So that is because I don't drink coffee. I only have 2 a week at max.
Right.
But when I take Revis, my whole world just go, all right, let's just game face.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I told you I had 3 cups a day.
Yeah,
and you're like, 3 cups a
day.
day.
I was like, I will be shaking.
Yeah.
Minimum.
So Revis has been my go-to for pretty much. I have 2-3 strips a week.
Right.
The 100 milligram.
Just for
just to the focus. It really is for the focus. It's not so much for the. I think there's some masking effect. Do you find for you there's some
definitely.
pain masking effect?
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
I haven't tested not running.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it's like.
Did you had coffee this morning when you ran on 16, 19?
Absolutely. I had 1 cup before, and then I had one of those cans that have I think about 120 milligram of caffeine.
Okay.
So I had a decent amount of.
Juice.
I was revved up, ready to go.
Yeah.
It was good.
All right. So for everyone who's listening, caffeine.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's it for running lifestyle, I guess. What about gym? Do you do anything outside running? You talked about.
I was doing
doubles.
Pilates for a while, but I guess
Pilates?
yeah. So that's still very targeted, but very gym style Pilates. So you're following the instructor, but you're really watching the screens for a good 40 minutes. You just pulsate. Do very controlled exercise. I keep the spring loaded, very controlled. Just once a week on that.
Right. Is that like reformer Pilates? Or?
No, reformers.
Yeah, right. Jeez.
Reformer Pilates.
Pilates it's bloody hard.
It's
like,
hard. You think it's so sorry, it sounds sexist, so gentle and it's like it's not.
No.
It's very controlled. It's like hold, pulsate. You're like, stop this pulsing, it hurts. And because it's so targeted, it really goes to your glute med really deep.
Yeah.
And especially when no matter which day of the week you try and fit in a Pilates, it always hurts. Whether it's Tuesday afternoon, doesn't work because you've done hard workout in the morning. Wednesday afternoon can't work because you've done long run in the morning. Thursday, I'm doing Friday tempo. You'll be like, darn. So just got to do it. So I do it on Monday nights.
Okay. Interesting. I think yoga is a bit more kind of relaxing, chilled out, but Pilates
is that your choice of?
Yeah, I try to do just there's like a little flow. I think it's like the sun salutation routine.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long, but it's
good for a lower lumbar though.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you open up your sternum, open your lats. Yeah.
It's good to just do that because at work you're just sitting down hunched over all day. And it just opens up your legs a bit. But I need to kind of get back in the routine of doing that a bit more often. Yeah.
Do you do any yoga?
I've been doing my 14-minute strength stuff, which is
the kettlebell
that's
not
holding,
on the
that's holding the mics together. This is a very professional setup, but
it works. It's functional.
It's functional. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We normally wrap up with one question, which is, what's your favorite race, and why?
Why? The fact that I've done so many Gold Coast marathon, I think that's probably favorite race. There are 2 ways we can digest that questions. Whether it's favorite race experience, it's for me. It's always been Gold Coast. I've done 13 of them. I've always felt when you are able to separate yourself away from your home base and travel to a place purposefully, and still participate in a great race, 2 U-turns, and that really gives me a very good, and I'm taking myself out from home to purposefully do something that I really love.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time of the year. I find that race experience is great. But the best race, very cliche, the best race, the one that you think you have given yourself for. It could be a 10K, it could be a 5, with the best block, to do what you can with what you have. If that's that race, then that would be the best race.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, Dom,
Sweet.
we got to end on our saying, which we always forget.
Yeah.
So Buzz, thank you for coming on. It's been
No, thank
absolutely
you.
fantastic.
Thanks for having
Really
me.
Appreciate it.
It's interesting to be on this side of the podcast and listening to it.
Yeah.
But thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dom, stay strong.
And stay fast.
All right. All good.
Thanks, Keith.
Buzz.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you. How long was that?